Welcome to Grounded Guidance, the casual space for conversation with curiously intuitive minds as we explore fascinating topics that stretch our edges to think differently, live aligned with the pathway we are choosing each day, and propel us to move through life with a new lens on the world. Each week, we will explore in this space ideas that may challenge conventional thinking, encourage us to be intentional with our thoughts and actions, and grow through conversation with each other and with you. Join us.
All right. How's it going?
Hey, hey, hey.
We're here. It's happening.
Hey.
Conversation everybody's been waiting for, right?
Bigfoot.
Let's get squatching, folks. Thank you, Jesse.
Squatching.
Okay, hold on. We've got a weird feedback loop.
You hear a feedback loop? Okay, that means there's something wrong with us.
Huh?
She's getting feedback
From us?
Everything's repeating twice.
Does chat hear that?
Can't
or do you
ever
have two windows open?
Can't ever get it so that we don't have technical difficulties.
Do not have.
Sounds normal to chat.
Okay. Should I pop out and pop back in?
Try just muting yourself and then
Okay.
unmuting yourself again. How's that? Could you try muting us and then unmuting us again, babe?
Is it us? Is it our us?
I get the feedback on all of us.
Oh. Yeah, you might have to pop out and then pop back in again.
It's weird.
I blame Burley. That's perfect. She's not here, so yeah, let's blame her.
It's her fault. I don't know if she's got like an extra tab, like if she had the stream open somewhere.
Maybe. I don't know. That'd be weird. I don't.
Because chat's not hearing it and we're not hearing it, so it's definitely something.
Well, hopefully this will fix it. There we go. How do we sound now?
Okay. Oh, yay. It's better. Okay.
Still got it. Okay.
That's weird.
Good. We're good. Thank you. Sorry for the slight delay there.
Oh, something has to go wrong. That's kind of our MO at this point.
Yeah, of course. Welcome, everybody. I know you're super excited to talk about Bigfoot. We are too. You guys asked for this episode. You may notice that we're missing Burley, but we have the epic Mr. Movies as our stand-in tonight, who happens to be a really big Bigfoot enthusiast. So I'm excited that he's with us to share all of his knowledge and lore about this elusive creature. Before we get going, a couple of things about our Grounded Guidance channel. We are here live every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We go live once a week for 2 hours. Subscribe to our channel so you'll never miss a live show. And then if you think somebody you know might like this, certainly share our channel with somebody you know. Help us grow our audience. That would be great.
For sure. Share it with all your weird friends.
Yeah. Because we're a little weird, right?
Yeah, totally.
A little weird.
We're a little weird. Cool. All right. So,
all right.
The legend and lore of Bigfoot. I cannot wait to talk about this.
I know. Do you have any hardcore facts you want to dig into first?
Bigfoot, also known sometimes as Sasquatch, known primarily in the Pacific Northwest. That was new for me. Having watched all these Bigfoot shows over the years, I didn't know that Bigfoot was kind of an epic thing in the Pacific Northwest. I didn't realize it was really the only, of course there's sightings all over, but
yeah, I think the most sightings are in the state of Washington. So
is that amazing? That's
I mean,
amazing to me.
They did place Harry and the Hendersons
Harry and
in
the
the state of
Hendersons was
Washington. So
outside of Seattle. So
that
What do you mean
movie
they
was
placed
based
it?
there.
Oh, it
That's what-
was?
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I've seen it. I didn't know it was based in.
It's probably been a while since
That
you've
was
seen
such
it.
a great show. I mean, how could you not love Harry by the end of it?
Exactly.
No, that was good. So yeah, that was actually really surprising to me. So Sasquatch, a hairy human-like mythical creature purported to inhabit forests in North America, but specifically the Pacific Northwest. They are large apes spotted mostly in forested regions with abundant protein sources.
Protein.
Large animals, right? So like bear, cougar,
Yeah.
deer, elk. Yeah.
Yeah, they say deer in particular, which I thought was kind of interesting. They consistently maintain low population levels, even when the protein sources could support bigger numbers of them. And they have never become an ongoing nuisance to human communities or livestock, unlike gorillas or chimps, making it very difficult for modern humans to hunt them. So their impact on the land is really very subtle, and it makes the trained eye hard, or it takes a trained eye to even notice what their impact on the land is.
I mean,
They
low
usually operate.
population numbers. That makes me
Yeah.
think that they're like nomadic, right? I mean, doesn't it seem like they
Well,
might be nomadic?
I've always thought that, they're so elusive. They have to be on the move. I mean,
Right? They must be.
yeah, it seems just the most thoughtful. But they often operate nocturnally, and you see that in some of these shows. They're out there doing their squatching at night, sometimes close to rural communities of humans, and be only occasionally seen, heard, or detected.
Hard to find.
Yeah. They are said to be between 6 and 9 feet tall. Some estimates 10 to 15 feet tall. Like, I can't even get my head wrapped around that. That's huge.
15 feet? That's a ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's a ridiculously large animal. There is no way you would miss that, right?
Right. Well,
Unless they blend in with the trees at that point. Because they're so tall, you're not even looking in the right area, right?
Right.
Like you look in a human region and you're just getting a leg that looks like a tree stump.
that's a very good point.
Just
On some
blend
of
right
these,
into the trees.
well, on some of these shows, when they do the night therms,
Mhm.
often it looks like they are behind a tree. If that is what we're looking at, a Bigfoot, it looks like they kind of, they do.
They're like,
kind of.
oh,
Yes.
oh God.
Like, what is that about?
I'm
But
hiding. Nobody can see me behind this tree.
I mean, if you're 10 to 15 feet tall, how do you hide?
Yeah.
How, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Well,
So
moose get up
some
to
of the
7 feet tall. Somebody was asking in
Ye-
chat, how tall do moose get?
yeah, roughly 6 to 9 feet tall is what I think.
And
Some of
moose
the
get up to
full-grown-
7 foot tall. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but I feel like
yeah.
you can easily distinguish a moose from a human man-like creature.
By
'Cause,
people,
yeah,
I'm just thinking of creatures that are that big
that are
in the
that big
forest.
in the forest. Yeah.
Some common descriptions that they've had of these bipedal apes: broad shoulders, very, very broad shoulders, no neck. So they do, they just everything kind of blends in from the back. Very long arms. Yeah.
Looks just like you.
Unusually long arms swing strangely sometimes, right? When you see these videos, it just looks kind of strange.
On Andre the Giant was Bigfoot. Yeah, Rockstar. Very similar in structure, I think.
Yeah. So, what do you think of that?
Okay, now there's a couple of comments. Like another theory is that Bigfoot is an extraterrestrial.
Or interdimensional.
Or an interdimensional being?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. What's that about?
Well, you kind of have a theory or you have a hot take on what Bigfoot might be.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, explain it.
Well, Homo sapiens used to live alongside Neanderthals and other close human relatives, right? And then at one point we wiped them out. Or did we? What if Bigfoot is just the remains of what we thought we wiped out, like Neanderthals or other Homo erectus creatures, and they went into hiding because Homo sapiens were hunting them for some reason. A lot of people think that we killed Neanderthals because they were cannibalistic and were killing humans, and so humans went.
So we got to take care of business.
We just got to wipe them out, or they're just going to keep eating us. And instead, they started living in caves and deep forest areas and just learned to hide from humans. And that's what Bigfoot is, the missing link, right? So, in every culture on this planet has the missing link, half human, half ape creature legend. And and of course, the last country to get discovered in our, colonial discovery is North America and South America, where most of the sightings would be, where possibly they migrated to in large populations.
Yeah, every folklore of every culture has some sort of something around Bigfoot or a Sasquatch. Asia.
Asians.
Wow. Asia has the Yeti. Australia has the Yowie. And then there's certain across the United States, there's a lot of different folklore. The skunk ape inhabits forests and swamps in the US or in the southern US and Florida. The grass man of Ohio, the Fook monster in Arkansas, the wood booger in Virginia.
A wood booger?
I know.
That's a great name. That's a great name. Wood booger.
The monster of Whitehall in New York, the Momo in Missouri, the Honey Island swamp monster in Louisiana, the Dewey Lake monster in Michigan, the Mogollon monster in Arizona, the Bushman, the Treeman, the Wildman. I mean, it just goes on and on.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, every culture seems to have some sort of creature. And what I always kind of lean towards is if there is some sort of science fiction story written about it, it probably exists. So,
yeah.
And there's been quite a few stories written about Bigfoot, so definitely exists.
Yeah, many of the indigenous cultures brought so much of this forward. I mean, they've been around for tens of thousands of years. And a lot of this has been written, petroglyphs, rock art, pictographs. When they write or etch into stone, you will see a lot of this depicted in some of these petroglyphs and pictographs across the United States. One particular area where you can find it is down in California. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's on a reservation down there. Let me see. Do I have it in my note? The Toole River Indian Reservation. And there's an image of Bigfoot that's been etched in stone down there. And I have not visited that particular one, but these pictograph and petroglyphs are quite fascinating. I've visited several panels in my travels, and
they're always like,
yeah, that's what absolutely. Yeah. It's really fascinating. So, they had encountered this years prior, which I think is really interesting.
See, he's about to, there we go. Show some of the petroglyphs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
This kind of reminds me, you know, when you're watching a show about ancient civilizations and they all have like giant, the giant people, right?
Yeah.
They all depict pictures of giant people. Are Bigfoot maybe leftovers from those giants that have just become more animalistic than humanistic because they've had to hide for so long? Or
Yeah, that's a great, that's the tool Indian reservation. That's what it looks like on the
that's the common
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
pictograph.
That guy's got wood boogers, you can tell.
Yeah, his eyes are scary, aren't they?
You know, the idea of the giants is fascinating because there's a lot of research that's been done about a lot of things that were built for these giants that have then their DNA has been synthesized and people aren't that big anymore, right? But were they that? Yeah. I don't know if they were that. They certainly aren't depicted like they're depicted like a giant, but I'm guessing giants weren't hairy. I don't know though.
Yeah. Who knows? You know what I think is kind of interesting about them is, at least in some of the things that I've been watching, there seems to be some paranormal activity that occurs with the Bigfoot.
Electric magnetic fields,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yep, EMFs and I mean, besides just the gross smells that they leave behind, right? That was one thing his stepdad wanted us to make sure we talked about.
The smells.
That
Yeah.
yes, you will always smell Bigfoot before you see him.
Yeah.
So I probably am not pronouncing this right, but the Sistales people tell their story about the Saskets, a shape-shifting creature that protects the forest. The name Sasquatch is the anglicized version of the Saskets, roughly translating to hairy man in the Haliquim language.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So I visited a place in Montana that was a portal, a vortex site. And there is a lot of Bigfoot sightings at this place. And actually, the people from Finding Bigfoot had done a visit there, and then they did a corresponding podcast episode on it. And the lady that did the tour, it was really a lot of paranormal things happening on this property. But the lady that did the tour showed us a picture of a Bigfoot that she got on her when she was there, I don't know, walking the grounds one day before her shift. The place was a little ominous. It was it was heavily wooded. I mean, the river was right down by there. You know, I do believe that there needs to be a water source, right? If they're going to be
For sure.
living
Well, they got to be
close.
drinking something.
Yeah, right. But anyways, I thought it was interesting because she was like, I can't release this picture. I don't want it to go anywhere, but I'll show you. What am I going to do with it? It was interesting. Yeah. So this place was, highly paranormal, a lot of interesting paranormal activities happening, and there was a lot of Bigfoot sightings at this place. So I didn't see one, but I thought that was interesting.
I think Jesse Cortez had an interesting comment. Old world structures built for larger people have begun to fall under Tartaria. But all the old ancient structures that seem to be built for men that were larger than, 6-foot men, right? 10-foot men. Maybe that was from what Bigfoot used to be. The ancestors of Bigfoot.
But again, they would have had to have devolved, right?
Or maybe they are.
Maybe they are just extremely evolved, and they
technology. They have something else. I mean, they have all this paranormal stuff that comes around with EMF and all this other stuff that they seem to take out electronics when they walk by, and
they just
like
prefer to live in the forest.
They like nature. They're one with nature.
Yeah. That's an interesting concept for sure.
I think that they are interdimensional. And
Okay.
it was very clear after I visited that Montana site that was what was happening. Now, this is my opinion. I believe that they are among us. We aren't within that dimension to see them. And the people that do see them tap into those dimensions.
Oh, interesting. So the people that see them have, work on some sort of different frequency level.
Yes, exactly. So that's why
Similar
there are
to-
sightings of them. But I think so many of us that are eager to see them aren't. We're
not able.
eager in the wrong, or we're eager thinking about it completely.
Right. You're thinking, oh, I'm going to go see a bear. I'm going to go see this
Right.
thing that looks like a bear. But
Yeah.
you should actually be thinking, oh, I need to be thinking with my extrasensory perceptions.
Exactly.
Instead.
Exactly.
I don't know if they're interdimensional. That's maybe why they smell so bad. Because you ever get a package from a different geographical location, you open it up and it has the
That's a
smell
really good
of that
good point.
location.
Yeah.
What does interdimensional smell like?
Boy, if that's like what Hollow Earth smells like, I don't think we want to go there.
Oh, that's a great point. That is a really great point.
Because you're used to the smells around you, right?
Yeah.
The smell
Yeah.
of your house. When you send that smell in a package to somebody else, they get a whiff of it when you open the
They're
package.
like, oh, that's what their house smells like.
Yeah. So
Yuck.
Yeah.
maybe that's what Bigfoot. He's interdimensional, and the dimension he smells like it's just stinky. You might not think so, but we do.
Yeah. Now that being said, the people that see them and have all these accounts of seeing them, I do not believe all of them can tap into these other portals. I think a lot of them are batshit crazy. I do. There are some crazy accounts that people make, and I whether they're hallucinating or on drugs or, think about when you go into the forest alone. It feels very, very vast, right? And whether you're scared of it or not, there's every little sound, every creaking stick, every, and you're very aware, you're very alert. But no, I don't believe everybody that sees one is tapping into that other dimension.
Yeah.
People are.
Could it be both? I mean, could they be these interdimensional traveling beings, and then also maybe there are some that choose to live here and just hide?
Maybe. It's interesting if you look at the reports of the people that make them. I'm driving on this dark road and it's a 2-lane road and I was the only car for miles, and you have to imagine they're probably tired. They're probably getting sleepy at the wheel. What happens when it happens? You go into the zone, right? You're tapping kind of into this other. I know that is how it is for me. I'm like in between. So am I seeing clearly, or am I actually
in like a meditative state where
Yeah.
you can see that level of frequency?
Exactly.
That's interesting. That is I've never considered that, honestly. I've never even considered that.
I mean, a lot of the eyewitnesses of
Yeah.
Bigfoot encounters are older
Yeah.
people. And a lot of time it's because it's people of retirement age. And they're at the point where like they just don't give a shit anymore about what they think of them. And so they're like, I'm finally telling my story. This is what I saw. And you hear of what they saw 20, 30 years ago or what they saw last week. They're more open to people who don't care about what other people think of them. They don't care about the social,
Good point. The
stigma
impact.
of saying something weird. They're more open to tell what they experience. So you see a lot of experiences from older folks and there's a lot of reports back in the 1800s when we were moving west into the Northwest of more and more families of Bigfoots being seen and stuff like that. So makes you wonder.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Why do you think the Pacific Northwest is why do you think it's such a hotbed of Bigfoot activity?
From one thing, some of the studies I've seen is they like precipitation and like you said, protein. So there's a lot of elk and deer in Washington. Also, it rains all the time in Evergreen State, so it's always wet on the western side of Washington, and that's where a lot of the sightings are in the Cascade Mountains over there. And I think it's just prime real estate. Southern Canada,
Big trees to hide them.
Oregon,
Big trees for them to hide behind.
Western Washington.
Yeah,
Get a lot of rain,
right?
lots of fresh water springs, and
Yeah, lots of running water
Just-
over there, I'm sure.
resources, food resources. So there you go. And it was the West was the last thing we discovered on this planet as, society, as we moved west with civilization, building cities and stuff. The whole Oregon Trail, as you say it, was modern man moving west.
Do you think, based on what you just said, that we pushed them west?
Possibly.
Do you think
But, I mean,
they
I think-
possibly East Coast Bigfoot.
I mean, there is reports of East Coast Bigfoot. There's probably some that live in the Appalachians and, move
I
into the
think
caves.
Anywhere there's trees.
Yeah, and there's also
Probably.
swamp ones, that the Florida skunk ape and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So not everybody gets to move, but they just get better at hiding. So go back to my theory of the Neanderthals being the, what maybe Bigfoot is from, and the old land bridge that came from Russia to Alaska that a lot of people theorized that the Native Americans traveled over to get to North America and South America. Maybe that's where Bigfoot came along too, when back from, the old world, when
Rode
they
his
had to
woolly
run,
mammoth
they
and-
had to run all the way the same way. So there you go. Or like if they were, nomadic hunters, they followed, the animals. So like woolly mammoth or bison or anything like that.
Oh, this is interesting. Lewis and Clark's journals had some claims of extraordinary creatures like Bigfoot.
There you
Oh,
go.
that's
Very
fascinating.
cool. Yeah,
That I did not know. Thank you.
that's
for
really
sharing
cool.
that. Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. I found a map of number of reported Bigfoot sightings, and Washington State far exceeds all of them.
Do you want to pull up the map that you
Oh, yeah, I have
that you
a
found?
Yeah.
constantly updated map.
He's got like an ArcGIS
The
map.
Bigfoot map.
So cool. Yeah.
The Bigfoot Map Project. Let me
Do it. Do it.
Here you go.
Oh my goodness.
It's updated like all the time.
You can zoom out.
So
and
cool.
It's mostly just, there are some international ones. I think
Does
some
it-
of these
can
dots. I was looking
anybody
at some of these
post on
dots.
this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. There's a place to report report a sighting, and you enter your location and stuff like that. But yeah, it's mostly for the United States, North America.
Honestly,
but-
you'd think you'd see more in Alaska to be and Canada. Really.
There's not sightings in Alaska because there's not people in Alaska.
Oh, that's true. That's true. We did watch that show. What were we watching? Alaska,
Like the
like
murder Bigfoot or something like that.
yeah, big.
And that's
Yeah,
this
that was
location
weird.
right here. I actually looked it up. This is where they went.
There's like this whole little inlet where
A town
a
was
whole
abandoned
town
completely.
they abandoned it in like the
1950.
in the 50s
Yes.
because everybody kept getting there. The whole bunch of people kept getting killed in the woods.
Yes, I
I
did.
think-
I did see that. That
Yeah.
was
Well, and it turns out they went back into the history of that area and it had been abandoned previously 2 other times by 2 other cultures.
oh wow. Really?
Because of similar circumstances. Like the first group, they all got sick and died, or a huge chunk of them got sick, and so the rest of them were like, let's get the hell out of here. Apparently there's something here that is causing all of us to get sick. And then the next time somebody tried to land there was a whole native village that had just been left, like nobody in sight, but their tents and stuff were still there. Really weird circumstances.
Did they attribute it to potential Bigfoot sightings, or do they not know?
Yeah, no, they had a
There was news
their
articles
native
about,
language for Bigfoot.
There was a news article that talked about how they would come into town
Nanit
and
or something.
what?
What was the name of that Bigfoot? Nanit or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember. But there was a news article about how they would come in, take a person to eat them, and have a full square meal.
Oh my!
And it was from like
That's
the
just
they were
20s.
They were like a fishing. It was a fishing village,
Yeah,
and they
prime real estate for fishing.
and they had a cannery. And the cannery burnt down like twice on like 2 separate occasions. and then finally enough hunters just went missing. And then they find their bodies months later in the lagoon, just floating there. Yeah, it was very weird. So either they had a couple serial killers on their hands or they had, and there was a lot of paranormal activity that went along with it. So when they went to like search for this Bigfoot, the crew just kept getting sick. Like they would just have these waves of nausea that hit them when they were in the woods. So really weird.
Yeah, this website is updated constantly. They have different colored dots for when they occurred. We got some in the last 7 days, 48 hours, 10 days. Here's one in Alaska from last week. Was walking my dog in Two Rivers. Youth ran across the swearing loop and crouched suddenly thinking it was safely blending into the shadows when in fact he was in broad daylight. Was so cute, took a picture. Unfortunately, they didn't upload the picture. A lot of these you can add links to pictures.
Oh,
wait.
There you go.
Of course, it's super small.
Oh, it's like this big.
That's the thing. I mean, have you ever gotten a close-up picture with our technology these days? It's always so far away. But I don't totally blame people because you're like, oh, got to get my phone out and take a picture.
Yeah.
What is that? What is that?
I can't zoom in any closer.
Oh, it's a big wood booger map. Yeah, this is great.
I thought that was so funny. Did you find the
Well,
wood
but look at all those sightings along the East Coast, though.
Yeah, there's a bunch. I mean, I think these are historical sightings too. Some of these are older. All the
way into the Midwest.
Dots. Yeah. But these might just be historical ones. I wonder how old these yellow dots are. Oh, that's pretty new, actually.
That's a lot of sightings, right?
That was from this week.
Here, look at here. Dave Phillips says, I'd put money on it being in Canada more than down here. He spends winters down here and goes back to Canada during the summer.
Only if he wants to get bit by mosquitoes. But yeah, good point. I mean,
well, the data is only as good as who's entering it, right?
Yes, exactly. And I imagine this is a North American map also. So
there's more people on the east side, so that may be why there's more reported sightings. More people to run into them.
Can you zoom in on Washington? Does it look like really dense with the reported sightings?
Yeah, look at the Cascades.
I thought. Yeah,
all through the Cascades, though. Yeah.
All down this line.
What are the red dots?
The red glow is in the last year.
Okay. Yeah, where there are trees.
After 2020 is red glows.
There are Bigfoot.
Yeah, it kind of follows that tree line, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. In the desert, not so much.
You can be
still
seen.
Some though.
But yeah,
still
like
some
at the reservoirs, going to water.
Oh yeah, like he'd cross the Cascades thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna go check out some new territory," and was like, "Oh shit, did I get myself into?"
Like Nevada has. I was actually looking at some of these Nevada ones are just misdotted. They're actually in California sightings. So there's like no sightings in Nevada. Nevada's mostly desert.
They just placed them wrong.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Here you go, Mrs. Movies. Portlock, Alaska.
Portlock, thank you.
Now, what is the show? I've watched that show too. It is frightening.
It's like on Discovery Plus. Yeah, it is scary. It was very scary.
Yeah, he doesn't like to gamble, so Vegas is safe.
Nantinaq, yeah. Nantinaq. Yeah, crazy stuff.
So let's talk about their behavior. I'm curious about all of these supposed whoops and howls and tree knocking and rock throwing and
do we want to listen to some?
Yeah.
Because I got some.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Which one is it? This one. All right. Let me.
What are we
share
listening
this.
to? The Whoops?
Yep.
A
Well,
whole combination of things, right? Add it.
For Nightville.
So you got some tree knocks. Some whooping. That sounds like a language.
that sounds like people that are out there whooping. Doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't believe in the whooping.
He's trying to talk back to him.
That sounds like dogs barking, honestly.
Yeah, turn it off.
So there's that.
I just don't. I can't get with the whooping just because it doesn't make sense from a physiological standpoint. Something that large, if it is human like or ape like, its vocal cords would be huge. So it wouldn't make sense that it would be making higher pitched whooping. Like, I just feel like it would be making low pitched sounds.
Whoop, whoop.
Bass, yeah, bassy sounds, not that high.
Well, and if you think about like when people go out to hunt ducks or birds, they use a bird call, right? And was the whooping obviously something that Bigfoot teams on the ground have maybe heard, but it seems like it's become a bit sensationalized.
Yeah. I think a couple people heard something like that and then took it to an extreme, right? They're like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah, well, fucking birds make that noise. So
yeah, it's interesting. I know that the shows that I've watched, that's what we're going to do, a Bigfoot call, right?
Yeah.
And then
They
everybody
really cling
listens.
to that.
Yeah, they do.
I got another one that says it's the most terrifying sound in the Canadian woods.
Okay.
Oh, all right, let's hear it.
Let me share this real quick.
Is it more tree knocking?
I don't think tree knocking is terrifying. Can you hear it?
Oh, that is scary.
Yeah, what is that?
That is a scary sound. Sounds like somebody's in pain.
Yeah. Somebody's dying.
It make my
Yeah,
hair stand
somebody's
up.
screaming.
Can you imagine going to a remote cabin like, oh yeah, we're going to sleep for a few nights, then you hear that.
I'd be
Pack
out the
your
door.
stuff, we're
so-
out.
Oh no!
I'd be out the door so fast. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, what else could that be though? I mean, if we
I
take
mean-
Bigfoot out of the equation, what could it be?
An elk? Could an elk be making that noise if it's
Like a
I don't
dying
know.
elk?
Yeah, like if it's in pain, screaming, or
Crazy Larry fell down in the woods again.
oh!
Crazy Larry. Oh boy. This one's kind of funny. That could very well be true. Yes.
Johnny P says it's his wife snoring.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe
Actually,
an
yes.
elk.
Yes. Yeah,
You know, elks
are-
have that bugle,
They
so
do.
like,
I don't know, it didn't sound like an elk. It sounded like something humanoid.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know, can you hear our Bigfoot in the other room? Can you hear it through our microphones? They're
A lot of
screaming back
whoops
there.
and tree knocking going on. Yeah, tree knocking and whoops are the most common sound associated with Bigfoot. So
I might buy the tree knocks. Like, what else is going to knock on a tree like that? Because it's not like a woodpecker knock. It's like a
thump, thump.
somebody's smacking tree limbs against each other.
Yeah.
And the rock throwing. That some of that feels very
Yeah, like what other creature throws
Yeah.
rocks? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious about that.
I saw a video of them throwing trees. Just ripping up a tree and throwing it. Like a
Really?
5-foot diameter, like birch tree.
Like Highland Games style or like javelin?
Just chucking it.
You know, there's been reports of people that have been camping, like in a tent, and that they'll throw a rock at the tent to get attention.
Well, it sounds more like Blair Witch Project.
But it's a little strange. I mean, I would, if they're as nocturnal and want to hide as much as they want, why are they throwing rocks? I know they must be curious, but they
The
don't
younger
want
ones that are stupid.
the youth.
Yeah. Think how stupid our youth is. Bigfoot's got stupid youth.
Fizz.
They've got to have dumb teenagers.
And that's why there's also reports of varying sizes. You got to remember they're not all.
A lot of
they probably
teenagers,
have a lifespan or a life cycle similar to humans. So you got babies, you got teenagers being crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they call them juvenile, I think.
Yeah.
Don't they? The ones that are not quite 7 to 9 feet tall.
They don't know better.
That's wild.
They get yelled at when they come home. You're drawing attention to us. They're going to find us. You're grounded. Get back in your hole.
I'm curious. I want to talk about the Patterson Gimlin film. This is like the most iconic Bigfoot sighting. Like I think when people kind of get into Bigfoot, they see this and they go, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
And
I got it.
do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
10-second clip of it.
This is the 10-second stabilized clip. Of course, it's not.
That's just a dude in a suit. I mean, honestly, it looks like
It does and it doesn't to me. Like,
Yeah,
I can see.
right.
what is it that doesn't?
Like, I feel like you can see the muscles and the arms are so long. Like, it doesn't. Like, a human doesn't have that long of arms.
Some
That
humans
doesn't look
do.
like
You don't.
extensions.
Some humans do. You and your little T-Rex arms over there.
Yeah, so they tried to they this is like the most scrutinized piece of Bigfoot footage out there, and they've recreated it, and they've tried to create a ghillie suit. They've they have not even been able to come close to this. Many will call it a hoax, but they haven't officially said that it's a hoax. It looks very I don't know. There's just something about it that's just kind of a miss to me.
Yeah, they just got their jacked friend to
Right.
put
Yeah.
the suit on and let's go see how many people we can freak
Well,
out.
and then why does it look back at the I don't know.
It,
'Cause
it looks right at the camera.
Well,
It
'cause they hear
does.
'em. Like,
You think if it saw somebody and it like made eye contact, like, oh, it would just keep walking casually like that through the frame? Like, I feel like if it saw somebody, they try so hard to hide from people, it wouldn't just take off. Or try to hide behind a tree.
Or go through an interdimensional portal.
Or just jump through its portal. Okay.
Well, and if it okay, so we're talking about a bipedal ape, right? That's really what Bigfoot is. It seems like its bipedalness is like too succinct. It's too scripted. It's too like when you look at chimpanzees and gorillas, right? I know that they're not bipedal, but when they do stand up, it just I don't know. There's something that's just a little different
Just
about
something off about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Galaxian says it was two guys on a horse that filmed it. The horses were going crazy. Horses are very smart. And I don't think they would be spooked by a guy in a suit.
Jesse said if it's a hoax, they were smart enough to make it a female with boobs. Most folks wouldn't think of that. I didn't see
Yeah, that's considered a female.
it was.
Is
I
it
didn't see
really?
boobs on that.
How can you tell? We weren't close enough. Are you able to tell?
No. I can't tell.
Can we enhance?
I don't know. As females, I feel like we would know if we saw boobs.
Right. So what's the little bubble around
Hey,
Bigfoot?
buoy,
Is that
right
something
there.
we did?
That's something the video did to try and
Okay.
I don't know, because apparently it wasn't clear enough when they were just walking, so they had to put it in a bubble so we knew where it was. Like, why did they do that?
Might be part of the stabilization.
That just makes me think that it was even more hoaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
You
know,
can
and then-
zoom in and those things are swinging.
I mean, let's see what we got here.
Enhanced
Not really.
boobs. Oh, gosh.
This is an interesting comment. I was 6 months old when this was recorded. The movement is very human for that time. This is one hell of a suit. Yeah, I mean, if you've seen the
That's
people,
true.
who-
60s.
Yeah. I mean, you look at people who try to reenact things in a ghillie suit now. It looks absolutely ridiculous. You know that's a pretty good suit for 1960.
That's true. Yeah,
right?
for the 60s, that is pretty impressive, I guess. But they were making freaking
I could totally
Planet
see
of the
the boobs.
Apes before the 60s, right? In the 60s. Well, okay, that's the other question. Like, could Bigfoot be the resurgence of Planet of the Apes?
Ooh.
Planet of the Apes is just from a different dimension too, right?
Oh, Galaxian also says in the full film of that, the Patty footage, there's another one hiding in the bushes.
Oh,
You can see it in the distance.
Really?
I'm not
interesting.
sure why it doesn't have the unedited version here.
I'm gonna go deal with our big feet over here.
The guy in the suit admitted it was a hoax. Really? I never saw that in my research. I never saw that anybody admitted that. There's been a lot of people that have come forward and said, you know, whatever they've reported was a hoax, you know, but I did not read it on that one. You know, if you look at oh, are you talking? I can't hear you.
I forgot. She's
There
got
you
to be
go.
there for me to talk.
There we go. Yep. If you look at, I have a still image of that Patterson Gimlin Bigfoot, and it's really interesting because the face is all covered in fur, and then the head, and then there's just this small little space for the eyes. It looks quite suspicious, but it's interesting. There was also, I don't know if you can pull this one up. A couple of years ago.
Maybe it's a result of human and ape breeding. That's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
You ever seen Altered States?
That is really, what do they call that? What is the name?
Interspecies mingling.
No,
when
I'm looking for it.
oh gosh, I know the word. It's not coming.
Somebody will pop it in the chat, I'm sure.
What's it called when dudes do it with the animals? What's it called? It's called something.
Bestiality.
Bestiality.
Yes, thank you. Yep. So I don't know if you can pull this one up, but a couple of years ago, the Washington State Department of Transportation caught what they think is a Bigfoot on one of their highway cams.
Oh, I think I've seen this one.
Yes,
Like on a hillside.
Yes. Very
Yeah.
snowy. That
You
one
remember
is
that
really
one?
interesting. That was
It's in the
pretty
middle of the
compelling.
snow.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Like a traffic cam looking down on a highway,
Yes.
down a hill,
Yes.
and this creature kind of walks into frame. No, I don't think that's one. Oh, I guess it is. I feel like there's another one.
That's not a highway though.
Joseph Stalin was trying to mix human and apes to add to his armies. Legit evidence proves they got somewhere with that.
Oh my.
Weird. Oh, that's creepy.
I wouldn't put it past them. I would not put it past them. This does not surprise me.
Trying to get
That's
through an ad
wild,
here.
though.
Yeah. Oh, it's only a felony if you get caught. Thanks, Milner. Oh, God.
Oh, is it this one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Share this one.
He's going to pull it up.
Yep, that's the one.
The Washington State
All right, we don't need that.
Yeah, we don't need the audio.
Look at it.
Yeah, so look at the bottom right picture. I don't know. They just played with the grayscale
Yeah.
a little bit, right?
Looks like it.
Yeah, I mean, could it be a highway worker? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That webcam's FPS is probably like not 30 frames per second. It's probably like a frame every 30 seconds for those highway cams I got.
There is a story behind it. Well, that's ominous. Washington State Department of Transportation.
There's a story behind it.
So it is a transportation worker.
Well, if that's on one of the, Cascade passes, that you don't have people just hanging out up there, right?
Well, it was Washington State Department of Transportation East, so that would have
Probably one
been
of the passes.
well, Eastern Washington's what?
Well, it would have been one of the big passes over the
Spokane. Oh yeah,
Highway 2 or
could be. Just a guy hanging around in some trees. Yeah. A snowmobiler who saw something in the tree and wanted to go check it out.
I've got some of the best evidence, best footage that we've captured as humans. If you want me to share some.
Yeah. Yeah, show us some more.
Oh, golly. These boys in the chat are getting all weird.
Burley's not even here.
That we hit bestiality and it took a weird turn.
Oh,
Yeah, I bet it did.
Now, here we go.
Oh, there you go. Jesus.
Wait, what are you laughing at?
Get up here where I'm seeing you.
Can you not hear it? Can you not hear the guy
Can you
talking?
not hear the audio?
I heard a little bit, but not. No.
The guy
I
goes,
guess I'm not hearing what you're
Jesus.
hearing.
Jesus.
No, I did not hear that.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
Jesus.
Jesus. He
there you
does
go.
sound scared, doesn't he? That
He can't
hunter
act,
sounds
He
scared.
can't act. That's real.
You know what's
hear how
even-
heavy he is? He's like,
You know, when you look at the movement of that footage with the Patterson Gimlin, they're similar,
Yeah.
yeah,
right?
that's true.
I mean, it's yeah, it's so interesting.
Drunk
And
guy
they
in a
just
suit.
they just move through like, better get out of here. You know, they're
Yeah.
always on the move, it seems, right?
I've never seen one sitting.
The famous. Oh, you're about to see one sitting.
Oh, okay.
The famous skunk ape from Florida.
Show
Oh,
me
and
this.
an Everglades.
It's right here.
Is it taking a dump?
It looks like it's sitting at a tree trunk, maybe with ants in it and eating. That's what somebody theorized.
Oh,
Like, it's
okay.
getting bugs out of a tree trunk.
It definitely looks ape-like, doesn't it?
I think this is just the stabilized footage of it moving. I saw a longer video
Creepy.
of it, like ripping chunks of bark off the tree and throwing it behind it.
Hmm.
I wonder if I can find that one.
Interesting.
Nope, just a stabilized version.
Ryan says that looks kind of looks legit.
The skunk ape in Florida lives in the swamps. So
There's a lot of stuff that lives in the swamps down there, though. So I
Yeah.
think maybe the skunk ape would be the least of my worries.
Yeah.
But I have something else. This is a
Oh,
pamphlet,
he's full of
hunting
shit.
regulations from Florida. This is from 2021. Let me share this.
Lower
Hold
Suwannee?
on.
Swanee?
If it doesn't exist,
Swanee River.
why do we see this?
Can't really see it.
Hold on a second. I'm trying to
anyways.
get it zoomed in to the spot. I'm trying to show you. Okay. Oh, I keep trying to click on the wrong thing. Specific hunt regulations. State bag limits and firearms regulations apply unless otherwise listed. In designated archery area only areas, see map. Only bows and crossbows are allowed. Wild hogs, coyote, and beaver may be taken during archery, muzzleloader, general gun, small game, and family hunt seasons. There is no taking of swamp or skunk apes. Why is that in hunting regulations?
Interesting. So they're like, we don't know if it exists, but if it does, don't kill
You
it.
can't take it. You can't take it with you if you kill it. What does the government know?
Interesting.
Mm.
Oh, you think this is a government cover up?
Could be.
Why would they put it in their pamphlet if it was?
Because some people follow the laws. Hunters. They hunt with regulation.
That is interesting, though.
So
Perhaps there just
Along-
is a monkey.
Well, woodburgers are in Virginia, not in Florida. Right?
well, along that same line, in Washington State in 1969 in Skamania County, a law was passed, which is kind of down by the border of Oregon. A law was passed making killing a Bigfoot punishable by a felony conviction, resulting in a monetary fine of up to $10,000 or 5 years in prison. In 1984, the law was amended to a misdemeanor, and the entire county was declared a Sasquatch refuge. Whatcom
They're
County.
leaning into it. I wonder if Harry and the Hendersons was filmed there or something.
Whatcom County, which is north on the border of Canada, followed suit in 1991, declaring the county a Sasquatch protection and refuge area. And then in 2022, Grays Harbor County passed a similar resolution after a local elementary school in Hoquiam submitted a classroom project asking for a Sasquatch protection and refuge area to be granted.
That's cute. That's cute.
So yeah, I mean, people kind of jump on the bandwagon. So
That's funny. I
this
mean,
is interesting. In 2021, Representative Justin Humphrey, in an effort to bolster tourism, proposed an official Bigfoot hunting season in Oklahoma, indicating that the Wildlife Conservation Commission would regulate permits and the state would offer a $3 million bounty if such a creature was captured alive and unharmed.
alive.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so you
that's
got
an
some
interesting
states.
factor, right?
Yeah, you got some states like, no, let's not kill it. Let's just leave them alone. You got other states like, let's catch it.
We
I'll
want
give
to
you
get eyes
$3
on this.
million if you can catch it. That's funny.
Yeah. That's fascinating.
It's funny until some dude in a suit gets blasted.
Oh,
Well, that's probably
actually,
why.
that happened. I was reading up on the documented hoaxes of Bigfoot. There's a lot. But in August 2012, a man in Montana was killed by a car while perpetrating a Bigfoot hoax and using a ghillie suit.
Oopsie.
Be careful what you're doing out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of hoaxes, people. In 1968, a frozen corpse of a supposed hair-covered hominin measuring 5 feet 11 inches was paraded around the United States as a part of a traveling exhibition. Many stories surface as to its origin, such as having been killed by hunters in Minnesota or killed by American soldiers in Da Nang during the Vietnam War. It was attributed to some proof of Bigfoot-like creatures. Primatologist John Napier studied the subject and concluded it was a hoax made of latex.
We're
I
getting
mean, people
feedback
will
here.
do. Oh,
Could you pull your mic away from your computer for a second? Is that better? Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if there's any sort of money involved, I mean, people will go to all lengths to try to bamboozle people out of their money.
Yeah.
Which I think
You know,
is
I hadn't considered that states would, officially say don't kill Bigfoot just for the sake of protecting people who might dress up as Bigfoot. And I mean, do you think that's part of the reason why they're like, oh,
It might be a guy in a suit. Don't shoot
yeah,
it.
exactly. We don't want to accidentally shoot people pretending to be Bigfoot.
I want to talk about that. What is the fascination with something that I think this is really a conversation about UFOs, aliens, anything that we don't have concrete evidence on. People go bananas over this stuff. I mean, bananas, right?
Us
And is it
included. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, right.
Yeah.
Because we don't, I mean, will all of this just die off when we find something? Is it fun to speculate? Why for so long?
It's the unknown, right? I think it's the unknown that is the lure, right? If we engage with aliens,
Mhm.
then maybe less people are interested.
Or do you think it tips the scales? Do you think it just makes people more crazy? And that's why, is Bigfoot part of the government cover up?
Well, I have some evidence for you.
Oh, you do?
Oh boy.
In 1975, the Army Corps of Engineers published an atlas for the Washington state. FBI has actually scrubbed this, but from what I understand.
But you found the original document.
But I have the original document. Recounts an FBI analysis of Sasquatch hair that came to the following conclusion. No such hair exists on any human or presently known animal for which such data are available. And this is part of the FBI has released files on Sasquatch, but give no references. But I have this. This is from the Corps of Engineers, Army Corps of Engineers, 1975 Atlas. They actually include in this pamphlet, it's like 100 pages. There's a section of Sasquatch and its sightings of creatures and where they are found. Talks about where there's been
Really?
tracks, sightings,
Cool.
and there's even a little snippet. Sasquatch, the very existence of Sasquatch, or Bigfoot, as it is sometimes known, is hotly disputed. Some profess to be open-minded about the matter, although stating that not one piece of evidence will stand serious scientific scrutiny. Others, because of a particularly incident or totality of reports over the years, are convinced that Sasquatch is a reality. Alleged Sasquatch hair samples inspected by FBI laboratories resulted in the conclusion that no such hair exists on any human or presently known animal for which such data are available.
So why aren't we labeling these hairs and listing them as Sasquatch, right? Like, why are we so good at collecting things and saying doesn't match any known animal or human species? Weird, And why aren't they just being like, okay, let's label this Sasquatch because nobody's seen it visibly? Well, people have seen it visibly, but you're just not believing them. So we just don't have visible, like, camera evidence. Well, we do have camera evidence of some things, but you're just saying that it's fake. Maybe it's real. Who knows? Like,
There's not enough peer-reviewed study.
so we're relying on the academics to prove it. Like, okay,
There you go. There's your
So-
sightings before 1968 and since 1968 in the 1975 Washington State Atlas. Oops.
Wow. So
cool.
the Melba Ketchum press release described as a 5-year study of purported Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, DNA samples, but prior to peer review work, DNA Diagnostics, a veterinary lab headed by veterinarian Melba Ketchum, issued a press release on November 24, 2012, claiming they had found proof that Sasquatch is a human relative that arose approximately 15,000 years ago as a hybrid cross of modern Homo sapiens with an unknown primate species. Ketchum called for this to be recognized officially, saying that the government at all levels must recognize them as indigenous people and immediately protect their human and constitutional rights against those who would see in their physical and cultural differences a license to hunt, trap, or kill them. Failing to find a scientific journal that would publish their results, Ketchum announced on February 13, 2013, that their research had been published in the De Novo Journal of Science, in which the paper was published as found to be a website registered anonymously only 9 days before the paper was announced, whose first and only journal issue contained nothing but the Sasquatch article. Shortly after public, yeah. So it sounds like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Sure. But isn't most of academia?
Unless you get money and people behind it, right?
Yeah.
Money and peer-reviewed
Interesting.
studies. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Let's talk about some of the hoaxes.
So Steel City said, hold on, because it contradicts known science that without repeated professional studies of fact, it will not be labeled. What known science does it contradict, though? Known science that Bigfoot have never been discovered?
Well, and haven't we determined, well, I guess we don't know because we don't have a body, but haven't we determined that they're part of the primate family?
Well, that lady did, right? I just feel like there's I just don't understand why, I don't know, why peer review and they get to decide whether something is science or not.
But look at what the government has done to cover up UFOs and aliens and all the technology around craft, right?
Hmm.
For the protection of whomever, right? Or for their own secrecy. Is this no different? We're not going to put our claim on anything because we don't want. Not that the government would have to be involved in this, but I don't know if anybody wants to step forward and say this is legitimate. And here's the clear evidence.
Where's fucking Charles Darwin when you need him, right? Like, he probably would have stood up and been like, oh yeah, this is some sort of evolved man-ape creature. Like, we would have believed him.
Yeah.
We watching a movie.
Yeah.
Sure. Go ahead.
This is an interesting. Does religion play some sort of role? Is he supposed to represent the beast, aka the devil? I hadn't even considered that.
Me either.
Interesting idea. Yeah.
I mean, maybe. We just watched the Red Dragon, or we're watching Hannibal. It's got the red dragon in it. That's some sort of devil creature, right?
Possibly.
Well, isn't there takes kind of a sidebar from Bigfoot and Sasquatch, but aren't there stories about these devil creatures that live in the mountains of, is it West Virginia?
Oh,
Wood
I don't
boogers?
know.
What's it
What's
called?
the wood
The
boogers?
wood boogers?
I remember watching something about that. Here's another one. After Bigfoot is passed, if buried, we would have found. Wouldn't we have found one by now? With the way humans have developed forests, so there would have to be another explanation.
I mean, we do find fossils all the time, right?
True.
But
Yeah, that's a good point.
we don't often find them in the woods.
You know, I thought of that too, but then I don't know if we often have like an understanding of how vast our forests are, right? Like, even if we were to uncover something, it's kind of like the whole
Yeah.
mermaid theory, right? Think about how vast the ocean is.
I know, yeah. Of course, we haven't found a mermaid. They're just hiding under all the rocks and stuff, right? There's cracks and crevices all over the ocean.
Right.
You'd think a dude would have caught one via drone by now, right? Okay, but like lots of people catch video
Oh, yeah,
evidence
that's
of these things. So.
Yeah, by drone. Yes, I know. You know, when they do these Bigfoot shows, that's often what I think about. Like, get all the technology out there, the LiDAR scanners and the drones, and they did start pulling that technology into some of these Bigfoot shows I've seen, but whether it's the wrong night or what, I don't know. I haven't seen.
Like, there was an Expedition Bigfoot episode where they pulled LiDAR out and there was a creature out there.
Yes.
It could have been a bear, it could have been lots of things, but I mean, they're catching images of these things.
They are.
Mermaids got caught in the tuna traps.
They did. Yeah, that that was another show that I watched. Was it
Really?
tuna or was it was some sort of trap. Yeah. They brought it up. You'll have to look it up. It's wild. Oh boy, it is wild.
Do they look like aerial mermaids?
No, gosh, they are horrifying. They are
Oh god.
what your
Nightmares are made of.
Oh
Yeah.
my. Yes, very much.
Again, if there's a fairy tale or a sci-fi story written about something, I'm likely to believe it actually exists, right? Like, because somebody has seen it,
Yeah.
or had experiences with it.
All right, we've had a poll up for the last hour.
About
Was
what?
the poll?
Do you believe in Bigfoot?
Yeah.
65 votes. It was like 70% for like the first 30 votes, but some skeptics have come since. So it's 63%.
63%
Wow,
say
that's
yes.
interesting, yeah. 63% of these.
36% of people say no, and they're wrong.
Galaxian says, I only eat mermaid safe tuna.
Ones that aren't caught in the traps. That's good. I like that.
The dolphin safe is just code for mermaid safe.
That's true. That's so true.
Because what do you think? Dolphins and mermaids, they swim together.
Yeah. What if we've been so civilized that we can't interact with nature like we used to? Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the whole like different frequency thing, right? Like, what if we've just, we've not honed our abilities to look through nature's crazy. It's probably just working on so many different frequency levels, and we're just not seeing that one frequency level that so many others do. But if that's the case, then how are people catching videos of it? So it almost contradicts itself a little
Yeah,
bit.
I mean, to find your truest nature, right? Your truest individual nature, they say to go into nature, right? And I think that there's something to that. I don't believe not so many of us not living off the land, not living with the land, not living in communion with the land anymore. We have lost this ability. And so with that, we aren't really in tune with, and I do believe it's just a frequency level, right? We aren't in tune with what that is. But you would think that with you getting a phone out, that wouldn't be within that frequency, right?
But we do catch apparitions on camera sometimes.
That's true. Yeah.
So,
That's a very good point. Have we read this one?
I think
We have.
So
Maybe they decompose differently.
yeah, that's true. Maybe their bone structure is no, that wouldn't make sense. If they're ape-like.
Well, there's the whole, paranormal thing to them. All things that are unexplained, maybe they like disintegrate. You never know.
So this one's for you, Mr. Movies, Mr. Maps.
Always wondered why America has prominence in these sightings. More money needs to be invested in mental health services. Well, like I said earlier, Nipans, maybe there's more sightings in North America because it's the last frontier, considered the last frontier for civilization.
They fled the other civilizations, came to North America, and then we settled.
If they were near human-like, out of Karen, we're echoing again. There we go. Is that better? Oh, no, I hear myself.
Might need to mute her and unmute her. Sometimes that helps. There we go.
Nope. Echo. It's a little better. Oh, I'm just hearing myself. But like I said earlier, if they were near, we came out of the Garden Eden, the soup of life back in Africa. They're near human creatures, and they moved away from humans because they were being hunted. They would go across the land bridge to North America eventually, and eventually, as civilization moved west across America, they go deeper into hiding, and I don't know. There you go. That's why there's more sightings in America, because that's where the last cities were built.
The Yeti and the Howie, the Yeti from Asia and the Howie from Australia. I don't believe, is it still echoing really bad?
No, you're good.
I haven't done a ton of research on them, but I do believe they're not as cordial. I think they're there have been reports of attacks from the Yeti and the Yowie. The Yeti is who the abominable snowman was, depicted after, which I think is interesting. But that's all claims.
But if they exist here, why wouldn't they exist there? And
agreed. So this is interesting. On July 16th, 1924, an article in the Oregonian made national news when a story was published describing a conflict between a group of gold prospectors and a group of ape men in a gorge near Mount St. Helens. The prospectors reported encountering gorilla men near their remote cabin. One of the men, Fred Beck, indicated that he struck one of the creatures with a rifle fire. That night, they reported coming under attack by the creatures who were said to have thrown large rocks at the cabin, damaging the roof and knocking Beck unconscious. The men fled the area the following morning. U.S. Forest Service investigated the site of the alleged incident. The investigators found no compelling evidence of the event and concluded it was likely a fabrication. Stories of large, hairy-covered bipedal ape men or mountain devils had been a persistent piece of folklore in the area for centuries prior to the alleged incident. Today, the area is known as Ape Canyon and is cemented with Bigfoot-related folklore.
That's fun.
Yeah. Can you share that Harry and the Hendersons picture? That's really all I can.
The big one.
The big Bigfoot.
Oh,
The one that you
the one you found.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like
not actually Harry and the Hendersons.
Well, it'd be fun to see Harry. Okay, so check this picture out. Is that not wild or what? When I first saw that, I thought, whoa, that's a little bit taller than 7 to 9 feet. Even if these people are 3 feet tall, which I would imagine, they do look a little shorter.
Yeah, they look like maybe 5 foot flat.
Yeah, they
But-
don't look super tall, right?
That's still
That'd
like
make
a
him about 13 feet.
14
14.
feet maybe.
But this is like in the realm of giants, right? This is
Mhm.
this would be considered a very large Sasquatch. But what I learned about this picture, it's an old-time picture that AI developed the Bigfoot image for. And
I mean, he looks like a man.
yeah,
The face looks like a man.
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's just a logger
But I think it's
with
interesting
a weird
to-
body.
With root fingers.
and weird fingers. Yeah, what is that? They look like
It's because AI can't draw hands.
They almost look like roots.
they do.
He looks like Groot, kind of a little bit like
That's
Groot.
what I said. I said root fingers. But yeah, AI can't draw hands. If you look at the human hands, these are messed up too.
Oh yeah.
AI cannot draw hands. That's how you know.
Yeah, so I think the whole point of showing this is just that you can't believe everything you see. I mean,
You can't trust anything anymore,
you
honestly.
can't. No.
Yeah.
Alter
and Bigfoot
everything.
looks nothing like that.
So they say.
Wow, AI got that one way wrong.
They totally did. They totally did. The only known photo of the Grinch who stole Christmas. No doubt.
Oh, we go to Jesse's comment. That's a good one. There are lots of old world photos that have
Oh, here. There we go. That one.
thank you. Yeah, that have normal sized people next to giants. Used
Yeah.
a lot into the Tartaria theory.
Ooh, we should do a show on giants.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, they have the archaeological digs have uncovered so much evidence of the way they used to live, and so many people have refuted that they even existed.
Oh, let me guess. The academics have refuted it.
Right. Yeah, that would be interesting though. And why do we not, I don't want to get too far off on a tangent, but why do we not really see giants anymore? And our Bigfoot's a descendant of giants. Or do
Yeah.
they share some sort of lineage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the giants lived in Atlantis.
Right. There is one theory about that actually.
You know what? Sound of Metal. Looks like Mick Fleetwood during the 60s.
Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious. That is so true. He had a striking resemblance to somebody, and I couldn't quite figure out. Wait, we got to bring up Mick Fleetwood. We got to do a side by side. That's so good. Oh my gosh.
I think
Oh my gosh, I'm going to be laughing so hard by the end of this. I want to see an AI photo of Whoville. I do too. That would be too funny.
Can you pull up too?
No, we just go back and forth. Just got to find a good picture of him.
Heck, looks like Mick Fleetwood now.
Temperature and oxygen and carbon dioxide level affects the size of things. Oh. But I mean, you have. Wow. Wow.
Kind of.
It's the guy in the black hat.
The tall, gangly one. Yeah.
I can see it. It's where AI got its reference.
I'm cracking up too. This is just so funny. I'm over here cracking up because just below this live stream is Harry and the Hendersons thumbing up, and Bigfoot is smiling back at me.
We're hitting the Harry and the Hendersons algorithm, apparently.
But I put on our community post Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh, did you?
picture,
Okay.
so that might be why it's popping up for some
Oh,
people.
if you've never seen the movie, you've got to watch it. It's
So good.
Oh, that's too good.
John Lithgow.
Yeah, it really is a good show.
Don't sit. Don't sit.
So, I thought this was kind of interesting. I mean, it seems like everything is around Bigfoot lore these days. People name roads after Bigfoot, and they have T-shirts you can buy. And every town you stop in, there's something about Bigfoot was here. You can buy a bumper sticker. I mean, there's just so much stuff. I think because it captures, people are interested in it, right? It captures people's attention. So I thought this was interesting. Conferences and festivals dedicated to Bigfoot are attended by thousands of people. These events commonly include guest speakers, research and lore presentations, and sometimes live music, vendors, food trucks, and other activities. The Chamber of Commerce in Willow Creek, California, have hosted the Bigfoot Days Festival annually since the 60s, drawing on the popularity of local lore. Some receive collaboration between local government and corporations, such as the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Festival in Townsend, Tennessee, which is sponsored by Monster. The 2023 Bigfoot Festival in Marion, North Carolina, saw approximately 40,000 people in attendance, resulting in a large economic boost for the small town of less than 8,000 residents. It's fascinating.
I mean, yeah, you make festivals about cool shit, and Bigfoot is cool shit,
Yeah, but I think that's interesting. The one in California has been around since the 60s.
Well, yeah, they were doing so many
Well,
psychedelics
that's when
in the 60s.
the Patty footage came
right?
out.
That's when what?
The Patty footage.
That's true. That 1967 footage. That's
Yeah,
when that,
so that the whole Bigfoot theory hasn't been around that long, dude. I've half wondered.
Bigfoot's been reports in the 1800s. So.
Well, yes, but the name Bigfoot
Oh.
hasn't been around that long. So I'm curious how many purported sightings back in the 60s were just people on LSD or some sort of psychedelic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious about that. Right? When
I'm
it really
guessing a lot.
exploded.
Yeah.
Probably a lot now too. I'm not saying that that was the only time, but
Well, I've heard Bigfoot does like mushrooms. So.
Good one. Yeah, Ryan, thanks for the comment. I made a note, so we'll put that on our list of things to talk about at some point.
is it the giants?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Homo floresiensis. the small, the 2 to 3 foot tall humans.
Oh.
I had a thought and then I lost it. It was riveting. It'll come back.
Does anybody in chat have personal experience or their own Bigfoot sightings?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
maybe somebody they know? My great grandmother, when she was driving from Santa Barbara to Reno, saw Bigfoot driving over the Sierra Nevada mountains.
She said
Crossed the road right in front of her.
yeah, she said she almost
Really?
hit it with her car.
And this is a lady that I trust 100%. She would not make something up like that. She was the nicest lady. Never told a lie.
How big did she say it was?
8 foot.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it dark when she saw it?
Yeah, they were driving at night to Reno.
One of those, like, was she in this
Yeah.
sort of
Oh.
middle space where she could see through
Well,
that?
okay. So what's really interesting about the Sierra Nevadas, if we talk about that for a second, there have been over 2,000 plane crashes over the Sierra Nevadas because they say there is a portal of energy over the Sierra Nevadas that I mean, is this the same portal the Bigfoots come and go out of, right?
Could be.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that. So what happens a lot of times is these planes crash and then they just completely disappear off the map. They can't find the wreckage. They can't find anything. And then all of a sudden one day it appears. And like, who was Steve Foss? Is that Steve Fossman? The really well-known, wealthy businessman had gone out, taken his plane out. This was in, I think, 2007 or 1997. And his plane disappeared just off the radar. Anyways, they ended up finding it like a year and a half later. A hiker found it. And what they determined was they had covered that space 17 different times. And it didn't show.
That's crazy.
And then and then one day it shows. So was that, is that a possible theory, right? Is it a possibility that the Bigfoots come and go out of this portal in that area? They call that's also one of the triangle areas. So I think it's interesting. I'm not really.
Let's keep escaping from their portal.
Yeah, I'm not refuting that didn't exist. I just think it's really interesting. I was camping several years ago in our trailer, and I was woken up in the middle of the night. I had the window open in the bedroom, and it immediately I knew this was something that wasn't a bear or a deer or something. And immediately I thought Bigfoot. The dogs went crazy. That was the thing that was so bizarre to me. Usually they'll sleep through things like that. And I just, like, this shock or this panic went through me, like, oh my gosh, thinking that they'd stand taller than the window in the trailer. And you could hear the, it walking on the gravel, and intuitively that's what I saw, but I didn't have the nerve to open the blind. I was so scared. Oh my gosh, I was so scared. So,
And I have a personal experience. I don't know if it was a bear or something else, but camping up on my family's property on the border of Montana and Idaho, like way up in the mountains at the cabin, we were walking along a trail and we found some scat on the trail that was like, it looked human. And it wasn't any of us. And
wow.
it was stinky. And then we
Like it
heard
was
rustling. Yeah, we heard rustling in the tree line above it. I was like 12 at the time. I was with two of my cousins, and we heard rustling. And just looking under the tree line, I thought I saw legs. And
Really?
with the trees the branches snapping and seeing that, I just took off running.
Where did you go?
Just back to the cabin because we were
Oh, okay.
out on the trails and stuff.
Yeah.
So we just took off running. We didn't go up that trail again that week. So, but yeah, I don't know if it was a bear standing up or maybe
Avoid
a
the
moose
steaming
or-
pile of shit.
there was something just pooped there.
Yikes.
Didn't look like bear poop.
Moose poop would be very identifiable Steel
Yeah.
City. I'm pretty sure it wasn't moose poop if it
Yeah.
looked like a human poop.
It was weird.
Oh yeah, Steve Fosse. That's who it was. Thank you, Bottle Rocket. Yes, there are more triangles like Bermuda than people realize. Yes, we are going to do another show on the triangles.
Yeah, we talked
We call
about
them,
that
like, the
earlier this
devils.
week.
Yeah, the Devil's Triangles. They're all over the world with really strange phenomenon that's happening in these triangles. But that is one over the Sierra Nevadas.
You know, I'm wondering if we might have a portal in our house since we did lose those water socks for about 3 weeks.
Did you find them?
Yeah, they finally
Where
showed
were
up
they?
in the tent. I don't know. It's weird.
So that could be true. I think there was one in my previous house because that happened to me all the time. All the time.
We do
Things
get
would go
weird
missing
footsteps in this
for
house sometimes.
days or weeks on end, and all of a sudden I'd be like, there's no
I
way.
looked there 65
Yes.
times.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure I looked in there,
Yeah.
and I am the horrible at looking at places.
I spent like 3 hours one day looking for these damn water socks.
It makes me crazy. Yeah. Well, and the people that were looking for Steve Fosse's airplane, the guy that said we mapped out our route that we took, and we crossed this area 17 times on foot and in an airplane, and it was not here. I mean,
And you don't just lose a plane.
Yes, I know. Isn't that amazing? So then when you think about this Bigfoot, I'd be curious to see, you know what I'd really be curious about? Mapping the Bigfoot sightings to known Earth grids, high energetic areas in the Earth, and seeing if there's a correlation to higher Bigfoot incidences in some of these
Hey,
areas.
baby, you want to work on that? You want to do some cross?
I'd like to see that. I would like to see that, yeah.
Do some mapping overlays. Just another ArcGIS map.
Let me look at the Bermuda Triangle area. There's no sightings in the Bermuda Triangle.
What about the Alaska Triangle?
They are not aquatic.
Here we go. My brother lives in Montana and has never mentioned Bigfoot.
Well, there's actually
There's
not
quite-
very
actually,
many
there's
Montana
quite a few-
sightings.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Mostly on the
sightings.
west side of Montana, looking at the map. So if he lives on
Where the mountains are. Yeah.
anything east of Helena, but I don't know. Maybe he lives
That's
on
where I was.
Montana's also like not highly populated either, so there wouldn't be as many sightings.
Maybe they think his brother smells and just don't want to go live by him.
Yeah, here you go. This is for you, Mrs. Movies.
I do, but not in the room where I found the water socks.
Wait, we have mirrors facing each other.
Well, yeah, remember from our Stanley Hotel episode? They believe the mirrors on either side of the staircase that go up create a portal. I just don't do mirrors in really anywhere.
Maybe we need to change our bedroom mirror setup.
Oh yeah, we do have two mirrors in our bedroom, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you lost said item?
No.
Oh,
It's where you hear things, though.
Steel City did ask, Haas, what do you mean high energetic areas?
oh yeah. So the Earth has areas. The Earth core has areas where it's more magnetic or more electrically charged. And sometimes these areas correlate to more paranormal activity or more higher incidents of these strange anomalies that happen. And so that area in the Sierra Nevadas also captures Mount Shasta, which is one of the areas that is said to have a major earth ley line that runs through it. So that would be considered a high, like the grid pattern is high through there. If you look up earth grids or ley lines, you'll get stuck down a really fun rabbit hole. I think we'll do an episode on that eventually. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, the Earth's energetic charge can influence a lot of what happens on Earth. They say like places like Stonehenge over in England and places like the pyramids in Egypt, all built on ley lines, all built in an energetic area that helps support the construction of those areas.
So he was asking about Area 51. There are actually no sightings of Bigfoot in Area 51 or near it.
Can't hide.
There's like one sighting south of it, but there's no details from the 1980s.
So this was another interesting story that I thought was worth mentioning. So in 1847, Paul Kane reported stories by the natives about skookums, a race of cannibalistic wild men living on the peak of Mount St. Helens, which is in Washington near the Oregon border.
Well, they would have died when they erupted then.
Right. President Theodore Roosevelt, in his 1893 book, The Wilderness Hunter, writes of a story he told by an elderly mountain man named Bowman, in which a foul-smelling bipedal creature ransacked his beaver trapping camp, stalked him, and later became hostile when it fatally broke his companion's neck. Roosevelt notes that Bowman appeared fearful while telling the story, but attributed the trapper's German ancestry to have potentially influenced him.
Why German ancestry?
Are you taking personal offense to that?
Well, a little. No, I'm just wondering, is there German folklore about Bigfoot?
Yeah. Is there like a Bigfoot legend? I don't know.
Like, is Sasquatch in Germany?
Oh, I'm
Can you
sure
Google
there's
that?
some sort of lore.
German Bigfoot.
And then this is interesting too. Less menacing versions have been recorded, such as one by Reverend Elkanah Walker in 1840. Walker was a Protestant missionary who recorded stories of giants, not Bigfoots, giants, among the natives living near Spokane, Washington. These giants were said to live on and around the peaks of the nearby mountains, stealing salmon from the fishermen's nets.
Cool.
I just think it's interesting they use the word giants and not Bigfoot.
There is a German word for Bigfoot called Schneemensch, which means snowman.
Oh, so they have more like a Yeti.
Yeah.
So one of the possible explanations that I thought was worth mentioning, I think this is interesting. So possible explanations about Bigfoot. Misidentification. That's possible you're seeing a bear. This one was so funny. Escaped apes. Like, from where? Where are they escaping from? Nuts. Other humans, right? Okay, but this one's interesting. It's called pareidolia, the tendency to observe human-like faces and figures within the natural environment.
So just seeing something that's not there.
Yeah. Which I think that a lot of the claims have been that, right? Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, I saw like some sort of image. It looked like there was an ape-like creature hanging in a tree.
Mm-hmm.
But it turned out that it was just branches laid in a certain way that just kind of had a human-like features.
Okay, so with that, I have traveled to some of these high energetic places before, and this happens to me. Okay, so when This is strange. But I'm wondering if we go back to the whole idea about that Bigfoots and Sasquatches are interdimensional. And a lot of them happen at night when people are driving in a car and I'm assuming maybe a little sleepy or weary or tired, right? And what happens when we go right before we go to sleep? We start to kind of drift, right? We drift in between realms, because when you go into the dream state, you are in a different dimension. But what has happened to me in a place that is energetically charged is I'll start to see like faces in the rocks and faces in the, like, things start to come, like they come out of the things, kind of like coming out of the woodwork. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I've heard other people talking about it too. So I'm wondering, in some of these areas, like say the Sierra Nevadas that are in that high energetic place, if that's kind of what's happening. You are traveling into these different portals, these different dimensions, and things are manifesting that actually probably are there, but they're so unbelievable to people because it's not what they see in their,
That doesn't seem that crazy to me. Like, you've been to a place where there's rock formations
Mhm.
that look like Mother Teresa.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Or the Virgin Mary, or
Yeah.
yeah, Zeus. I mean, I can see a lot of weird things in rocks, but it doesn't happen everywhere I go. Just sometimes when the frequency is shifted a little bit. So that pareidolia, is that happening with people in Bigfoot when they're either driving or that's why I'd be curious if the Bigfoot sightings are higher in places where the energy of the earth is, doesn't run through a ley line or.
Yeah, Jesus and a grilled cheese sandwich. No.
Yeah, that did happen back in the day. Yep. Yeah, there's wild claims for sure. Yeah, and some people believe Bigfoots are psychic and can shapeshift and are able to cross, and are supernatural in origin.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of the native tribes have their tail,
Mm-hmm.
and they talk about maybe the skinwalkers or
Mm.
shapeshifters.
Mm.
Yeah, you think shapeshifter? Do you think skinwalkers and Bigfoots are on the same? I don't know. I don't think
Possible.
they are. Yeah, that's true. That is possible.
Backhead's comment.
Was that?
Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't know you. I was just putting my hand there.
Is it echoing again? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been echoing every time we talk.
Yeah. I mean, this is why we see things in places that we shouldn't, right? Could be.
And what happens to our fear? Like, okay, so you go into nature. You go into a place you don't exist and you don't live and you don't coexist with nature on a daily basis. What is the natural response? It's a fear response, right? You're on alert. You're on high alert. So what happens if you are seeing something and it is just a bear or a deer, right? If you're in Bigfoot territory and that there's been Bigfoot sightings here, is that what your mind's going to? Are you going to play that story out to believe?
I don't know. I think if I saw an animal in the forest, like a deer, I would know what it is. I don't know.
Would you be that rational though? That's the thing. Would you be?
Yeah.
Would you be? I mean, fear takes over.
I don't go out in the woods thinking, I know Bigfoot lives around here. I assume Bigfoot lives everywhere in the woods somewhere. So I'm not actually thinking about him. If I would have ran into him, I would have thought of it. I'm not thinking him into existence.
Do you remember that night you thought Bigfoot was in our backyard
What?
at the old house? You woke me up one night and were like, I think I hear Bigfoot outside.
Were you watching a lot of Bigfoot shows that during
Was
that
I
time?
asleep?
I don't know. You thought it was in the trees on the side of the hill. I
Wow.
swear Bigfoot's on the side hill.
I don't remember that. I must have been asleep.
All right.
Weird dream.
Must have been-
Sleepwalking.
Must have been the time you guys were
We
really
can't even
watching
could see the
Bigfoot.
hillside on our old room.
That's true.
No, you thought you went outside and you could hear it. You couldn't see it. You could hear it outside. Is what you told
Was
me.
it going? Woo!
Yeah.
Woo! Woo!
I don't. You must have been sleeping. I guess I don't know. You woke me up though to tell me this.
Woo! Urgh. I do not remember that at all. I would remember
Okay.
that. Are you sure this happened?
Sleepwalker.
I've been known to do that sometimes. The one time I walked out to my parents, I said I had little green men in my mouth.
Did you?
No, obviously, but I thought I did when I was like 8. It's like when the X-Files came out. It's weird.
So here's a good one. I patrolled cemeteries, and the strange things we would see were insane. But upon investigation, it was always nothing except stray cats laying on flat stones, getting the warmth from the day sun.
You know, your eyes do weird things in the dark for sure. You
And
just
when you're
can't
tired.
see as well. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. This has been such an interesting conversation.
Here you go.
Yeah.
You probably
I
slept
don't know.
really
What
good.
does your mom put in her brownies?
What does my mom put in her brownies? Just butter.
Lots of butter. I don't think there's enough water.
Where we live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it'd just be a trek to the river. Just a couple miles.
And there's not enough trees.
No, definitely not enough. Again, unless he got lost, right? Going on an exploration and went the wrong direction.
Oh, here you go. I don't know. Wait, dude, I don't remember. I didn't find that anywhere. So that's interesting.
All of them on their deathbed confessed to it being a hoax. Or did they just want to take the secret with them to the grave?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. This is clearly, this is really what it was trying to get at, right? Our brains do that, right? And I think part of doing this podcast is just to challenge what we see, what we hear, what thoughts are filling our head, right? I think our
Yeah.
brains tend to fill up with things that are not always true or true for
When-
us. Right?
Yeah, and when I did remember what I was going to say, and then I decided not to say it because I didn't need to go down that rabbit hole. It was about like having to prove it. Like, how much proof do you have to have in order for it to officially be like a fact? You know.
I'm curious as we wrap this up.
Yeah.
Do you guys believe in Bigfoot? If you haven't seen
I
it,
do.
do you believe it? You do.
I do.
I have never seen it. I've never had a Bigfoot encounter. I don't often go to the woods. I don't like the trees that much, actually.
Wait, there's a theme here. You don't like the water, and you don't like the trees. Okay.
I don't like feeling restricted. I don't
Okay.
like that feeling that the trees give when, like, I don't like driving on freeways where there's trees around you. It just feels claustrophobic to me. I've never had any experiences, but I think I do believe, just for the mere fact that I believe in everything else. So if I believe in aliens, I might as well believe in Bigfoot, you know?
Are you excited about the hype, or do you really believe that there, based on everything we talked about tonight, that there is a bipedal ape, and these sightings most of them are truthful to whoever saw them?
Yeah, I just like for there to be so many sightings. And again, I kind of my new baseline like bullshit detector. Has there been science fiction written about it before? If
Yeah.
there's science fiction movies or stories about it, then I'm inclined to think that it's probably true.
Yeah, or Grimm's fairy tale, right?
Right, yeah, because it's been
Woodland
known
creatures.
well enough by enough people that they wrote a story about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it must be true in some sort of way.
Yeah, we've only mapped like 5% of the ocean, as Michael KB says. Also, somebody was talking about the 2005 hoax. I remember reading something that the person that claimed to be wearing the suit could never reproduce the suit he wore.
Ooh.
Yeah, I read
And
that too.
the ones that filmed it claimed that he was lying. I don't see anything about the actual filmmakers themselves who
Saying it
captured
was
it
a
saying
hoax.
that it was a hoax.
It's interesting. It's so interesting. I think this was such a fun episode.
Yeah, it was.
Do you have
I
any
love
grounded
seeing-
guidance for us tonight?
I do. I would love to end this lovely
Well-
episode.
Do you believe?
Do I believe? I believe they are interdimensional beings.
Okay.
Maybe
Maybe taking the form of a bipedal ape.
yes, that can move and shapeshift quickly and, yeah, not this stroll down the road like we see a lot of these videos happening, right? Yeah, I mean, I think there's so much that we don't know. There's so much we haven't even explored or tapped the surface of. So how
Yeah.
could I definitely would like to remain curious about it. But I do believe that we are not always looking in the right spaces for these creatures. I think we're a little too linear about what we're looking for. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, the grounded guidance. For those of you that have never heard this is channeled wisdom to all of you in the audience listening tonight or the recording in the future. Give up the need to know, to be right, to be factual, and harness your inner power. Like grabbing a balloon filled with helium and allowing it to take you up, up, up. What do you see? What do you feel? The view is pretty great from up here. Don't get stuck in the absolutes. Don't get stuck in the all-knowing. Be ready and willing to explore new heights, new depths, and new opportunities. You may be pulled in many directions and your footing may feel unsteady. Go not where you are pulled, but where you are led. Don't believe everything you read, hear, or talk about. Don't believe every thought that appears in your consciousness. Challenge the way you approach the world. Live your life according to your own pattern, heartbeat, footprint, and truth. Allow others to do the same. We really can coexist in a world that begs us to be divided over everything. Go freely in the direction of your unfolding. Ask questions, remain open, and slowly release the need to convince others that your view is right. Flow on.
Very nice.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. This was a good one.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already done that, and join us next week, same time, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, on the Grounded Guidance channel.
And
Well,
we'll be
and-
talking about the Las Vegas UFO.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Movies will be back. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
thank you for joining us this week. It's been fun having you.
Glad to. I
Yeah.
love Bigfoots.
Yes. All right, you guys. Talk to you next
Have
week.
a good night. Bye.
Bye.